Hey everyone, this is your stimulus check update, second stimulus check update and stimulus package update for Thursday, September 3rd. This video is for those of you on SSI, SSDI, Social Security or VA benefits, or for anyone that's wondering about the second stimulus check and how the next stimulus package negotiations are going. Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin met this week on Capitol Hill in a hearing where he was testifying about the next stimulus check and the next stimulus package negotiations. There were a lot of good quotes from this hearing, and that's what I'm going to cover most of the time in this video. And it's going to talk a little bit about the second stimulus check, but mostly going to talk about the stimulus negotiations and how those are going. The stimulus negotiations are critical because the stimulus check is going to be part of the next stimulus package. So that's why I'm going to spend most of the time on the stimulus negotiations. Welcome back to those of you that are subscribers to my community. I do appreciate each and every one of you for watching my videos. If you haven't subscribed already, be sure to subscribe right now and hit the notification bell so that you're notified each and every time I upload a new video. And I would appreciate it if you hit the like button so that YouTube will share this video with others. For those of you on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, or VA benefits, or if you're wondering about the second stimulus check, at this point there is still not a second stimulus check deal. The stimulus check is going to be part of a bigger stimulus package, but at this point there isn't a deal, but I want to discuss how those negotiations are going. Until the House, the Senate, and the Trump administration can reach a deal, there is not going to be a second stimulus check. However, I do think that they will eventually reach a deal and that a second stimulus check should be coming at some point in the future. The problem is they all have to agree on a deal, and at this point they're still far apart, unfortunately, on what they think should be included in the overall stimulus package. But let's talk about how the negotiations are going, because this all relates back to the second stimulus check. Like I was saying, Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin met with some lawmakers this week as they discussed the next stimulus package, and I want to go over some of the best quotes that he said from that hearing, and let's talk about those now and how they relate to the stimulus check, and maybe some of the responses from Nancy Pelosi after her and Steven Mnuchin talked quickly this week as well. I will include links to the references where I got this information in the description below if you want to check out the articles that I found this information from. CNN reported that Steven Mnuchin believes a bipartisan agreement should be reached to deliver further aid in testimony before the House subcommittee investigating the federal response to the coronavirus crisis. And Treasury Secretary Mnuchin said, "We will continue to work with the Senate and House on a bipartisan basis for a Phase 4 relief package. I believe a bipartisan agreement should be reached." So he is optimistic that a deal can be reached, and he's thinking that a deal will be reached eventually. Mnuchin also said during the hearing that he is willing to, quote, "prepared to sit down with the Speaker," meaning Nancy Pelosi, "at any time to negotiate." And he added, "The President and I do support additional fiscal response, and we've been working hard to try to get a negotiated agreement on a bipartisan basis." Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi has said that she does not even want to begin negotiations or start negotiations back up with the Senate Republicans and with Treasury Secretary Mnuchin and White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows unless they agree that they can spend $2.2 trillion on the overall package deal. White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows recently said that the Trump administration and President Trump are willing to go up to $1.3 trillion for the next stimulus deal, and that's about as high as they want to go. So they're still almost $1 trillion apart. It sounds like after that hearing on Capitol Hill, the Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin did reach out to Nancy Pelosi, and they did talk briefly this week as well. Nancy Pelosi was concerned that Treasury Secretary Mnuchin was asking to pass pieces of the next stimulus package one by one rather than overall comprehensive bill. If you've been watching my channel before, you know that Nancy Pelosi has said that she does not want piecemeal bills and that she just wants an overall stimulus package that's comprehensive or basically nothing at this point. Pelosi has continued to reject the piecemeal bill idea, and she said after the phone call, sadly, this phone call made clear that Democrats in the White House continue to have serious differences understanding the gravity of the situation that America's working families are facing. Nancy Pelosi wants a comprehensive bill that's going to cover everything that she wants, all the extras that everyone wants, before she passes anything at all. unless apparently it's the post office funding, which she called the House back into session a couple weeks ago to pass as a piecemeal bill. But that's apparently not what she's talking about here. Steven Mnuchin said during the hearing on Capitol Hill regarding the negotiations, unfortunately, Senator Schumer and Speaker Pelosi do not want to sit down at the negotiating table unless we publicly agree on a top line, meaning the total value of the next stimulus package. He continued, my own opinion is we should go piece by piece, and any area of the legislation we can agree on, we should have the House and the Senate pass. This is something I've been saying all along. Once you guys agree on something, you should just pass that. One of the things they agree on at this point is a stimulus check for individuals, a $1,200 stimulus check, just like the first one that went out. Both sides agree on a $1,200 stimulus check. Why can't you just get together like Treasury Secretary Mnuchin is saying and agree, okay, we're going to send out $1,200 stimulus checks to everyone? That would be very popular with the American people. People are struggling and need that $1,200 stimulus check, but Nancy Pelosi refuses to agree to that. And I feel like it's because there are so many other things that she wants in her bill that are not as popular. She wants to throw in with the popular part, which is the stimulus check. So that's my own opinion, but that's kind of what I'm seeing from the outside looking in. Steven Mnuchin also said during the hearing, basically what I've been saying, that they should pass what they agree on and work out everything else afterwards. This is what I've been saying all along. You agree on a $1,200 stimulus check. You agree for the most part on the unemployment benefit extension, even though the amount is a little different on both sides, the $400 amount versus the $600 amount. And you agree on an eviction moratorium. Those are the things you already basically agree on. Just pass something with those three things and you can work out the funding for state and local government. You can work out everything else. Steven Mnuchin is basically saying the same thing. Let's work out a deal on those things that we already basically agree on, get that passed, and everything else we can delay and work out later. And I totally agree with this. Those would be the most critical things that people are really waiting for right now anyway. All of the rest of the stuff I think is secondary. State and local governments, I mean, if they have financial problems, they can wait a little longer than the American people can. Yes, schools are reopening, but most schools are reopening and they're doing okay. At least in my state, they're doing just fine. We've had most schools reopen since the beginning of the school year, and there's been basically little problem whatsoever in reopening schools. So most places, I think, can reopen schools without additional funding. Yes, maybe later on in the year they'll need additional funding, but at this point, the biggest critical things are the stimulus check, the unemployment extension, the eviction moratorium. Those are the things that they already basically agree on. So just get that stuff passed. Just get it agreed upon and signed into a law so that people can get their $1,200 stimulus checks. Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin was optimistic during this hearing when he said, "We will continue to work with the Senate and House on a bipartisan basis for a Phase 4 relief package. I believe a bipartisan agreement still should be reached." And I think so too. I think they will eventually come up with a deal. Next week, the Senate is back in session finally. They've been on their August recess. They're back in session starting September 8th. If stimulus negotiations don't start back up by then or soon thereafter, then I will start to get worried, and I'll let you know that I'm worried if, a deal isn't being brokered once the Senate's back in session next week. Once again, thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate each and every one of you for watching my videos. If you did enjoy this content or found this content helpful, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you once again for watching, and I will talk to you again soon.